Now to Black History Month, and a change local historians say may have been rooted in racial discrimination. You've likely noticed certain street names in Atlanta suddenly change. Well, historians say that had to do with white people wanting to prevent Black people from living on the same street as them. Our Emily McLeod joins me now live in studio. And Emily, historians say that people back in the day probably weren't so forthcoming in why they were actually changing the names of the streets.
Right. So the historian we spoke to said at the Atlanta History Center, he told us that while the reasoning wasn't always so explicit in the documents they have, that doesn't mean documents like that don't exist. Drive around Atlanta and you'll see it. Streets changing names. Take Whiteford Avenue in Southeast Atlanta. In the 1960s, part of that street's name was changed to Memorial Terrace. Historians say changes like these were by design.
In the past, white citizens of the city decided through official channels to change the name of the street because they did not want their neighborhoods to be associated with African Americans who were moving in areas close to them.
Paul Crater is the Atlanta History Center's Vice President of Collections and Research Services. He says some of the first signs of racial discrimination in housing came in 1913. That was the year City Council member Claude Ashley tried to segregate residential areas by race.
The Ashley Ordinance was meant to ensure that city blocks would be segregated. And it was an effort to make sure that whites and blacks were not living side by side, because that would signify equality.
A couple of years later, the Georgia Supreme Court ruled the ordinance was unconstitutional.
That was the first attempt to codify segregation. But oftentimes, white people would take matters into their own hands to ensure that their spaces were not associated with African Americans who were seeking housing. This is a petition for a change of street name to the City of Atlanta Planning Commission. Today, that area, which once was Whiteford Avenue, which is south of Memorial Drive, is Memorial Terrace.
And yet, the reasons weren't always obvious.
What you see often in the documents, and in official documents, is no real explanation given. That doesn't mean that there aren't examples, that there could be examples in newspapers and in other documentation that illustrate that that they were being very explicit about their reasons for wanting to change street names. I don't doubt that those things exist. I can only point to some of the documents that we have that certainly imply that the reasons for these street name changes were because of racial discrimination on the part of white people.
Apex Museum President Dan Moore Jr. says streets in Atlanta have also been renamed to honor civil rights leaders and other prominent people.
If you're looking at street names now, you ought to understand who those people are. Joseph E. Boone, Lowry, Donald Lee Hollowell. Those are street names that mean something.
He believes education and conversations about the past will help Atlanta move forward.
Our focus is to tell you the story about the human experience so that you don't feel that you're separated from something. In other words, you need to be a part of this.
An experience that leads to understanding. Now, Moore doesn't want to just see more education about the past, but he specifically would like to see kids and honestly, probably adults too, learn more about the individuals that some of these roads are named after.
Indeed.
The Apex Museum, incredible, so immersive.
Wealth of information. And knowledge is power. So it's really good to know this information. You knew about some of those streets and why they came about, but to think that they were trying to make it law, it's just really startling. It kind of just
The Ashley Ordinance was something new that I learned about doing this story. And like you said, knowledge is power.
Most
and it is so
definitely.
important that we do learn about these things.
So we don't repeat them.
Right.
All right. Emily, thank you.